Recently, Dr. Michael Brown made a list of questions for atheists, and I figured, why not keep responding to them? The questions were kind of asked in a weird order, so I'm going to tackle this next set in an order that makes sense to me.
Does God exist? Would you say that you are 100% sure there is no such being as God, meaning, an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing being? Or would you say that, for all practical purposes you have concluded that this God does not exist, although it is impossible to prove such a negative with absolute certainty?
First, I have to say, I didn't see perfect goodness on that list, Dr. Brown. Tisk tisk. In terms of how I approach the question, I think 100% confidence in basically anything is unwarranted. So I think it's more likely than not that God doesn't exist.
Have you questioned your atheism? Have you had any experiences in life that caused you to question your atheism? Has something happened to you that seemed genuinely supernatural or otherworldly? Or have you been confronted with some information that shook your atheistic foundations, such as a scientific argument for intelligent design? If so, how have you dealt with such doubts about your atheism?
To answer the primary question, yes, I've questioned my atheism in a general sense. My cat's really mad about that, just so you guys can hear that. Though I've never really had deep doubts about it. My credence that the omni-god of traditional theism doesn't exist floats between 0.7 and 0.8 if I had to guess. When I was a Christian, I had what I took to be religious experiences. For example, a sense of what I thought was God's presence that was weaker or stronger depending on the circumstance. But I don't think God was really involved in any of that now. Since I've been an atheist, there hasn't really been any otherworldly experiences or new information to shock me out of it. Part of the reason for that, I think, is because I became an agnostic when I deconverted. And so I didn't move to atheism immediately. I kind of moved there slowly.
Is your atheism based on study or experience? First, would you say that you are, or were, an atheist based primarily on intellectual study or based on experience? Or did you never believe in God at all? Put another way, was it the lack of answers to prayer or failures within organized religion or some other anti-faith experience that first caused you to question the existence of God? Or was it something you learned in school or your studies that caused you to doubt? Or were you raised without belief in God and you've never found a good reason to question it?
Questioning faith is normally the result of the cumulative effect of both experience and reflection. So to frame this in terms of an either-or choice is kind of weird to me. As an agnostic, I read and listened to a lot of philosophy on both sides, as well as reflected on jarring experiences that should immediately make honest people question whether the foundation of reality really is a being of infinite love. I'm giving you a heads up. What you're about to see is upsetting.
Alright, we'll get going in a second.
They just look so peaceful. Let the viewer understand. Seeing something like this and then reflecting on the fact that it's just a grain of sand and the massive amount of suffering that has taken place over the course of evolutionary history should make any sane person entertain the possibility that fundamental reality is indifferent to suffering. This position can be defended rigorously, and I think Emerson Green does a good job doing so in a debate that I moderated on his channel, which I'll link in the description. But anyway, here's a video that the YouTube algorithm predicts that you'll want to watch next.